Hey, welcome back to the Big Red Zone. We are very excited for today's show. Remember, new episodes come out every Tuesday. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at Big Red Zone. And Danny Football, tell a friend, just one friend. Today, we're going to talk about this dumpster fire, the Celtics team they made down the stretch. We're talking about the Hart Sox and the start of a new day for the WooSox. All that and more in this week's episode of the Big Red Zone. Welcome to the podcast. This is the Big Red Zone. I'm your host, Big Red. As always, I am joined by Danny Football.
What's going on, Big Red?
What's up?
Not much.
A happy Mother's Day on the podcast edition, huh? It's a recording on Mother's Day.
My mom's working, so I don't have to celebrate it today.
You get to celebrate another day.
I have to go tomorrow.
Very nice. Danny Football is, by the way, one of the greatest sons there is. He always takes care of his mom on Sundays in the morning. Goes a little shopping.
Goes to the grocery store every Sunday morning with my mom.
He's a true example for all.
Follow me, kids.
He's an example for all kids for how to treat their mothers. So, but Danny Football, no, she's working today, so no grocery store on Mother's Day.
No, I did the grocery store, but it was a solo trip.
A solo trip, okay.
Solo trip, me against the world on that one.
He's a giver, man. He's a giver.
I give and I give.
He gives and he gives. I'll tell you who we give and we give to is these Boston Celtics. I feel
Let them have it.
I've given more and more of my soul and attention to this team, and
your hard-earned money.
And my hard-earned money, and they just continue to let me down. Today we were watching the game, and it's official. They lost 130 to 124. They gave up 130 points in a basketball game today. There's no defense. There's no heart on this team, and it's just getting embarrassing. Obviously, no Jaylen Brown, which hurts, but I mean, we saw it today in today's game alone. We'll break down a couple of games, but today's game, I was saying we gave up 79 points and a half.
Not gonna win. Not gonna win many games doing that.
Points.
Not gonna win many games doing that.
It's awful, and it's against the Heat. This is the team you had to beat. You had to beat the Bulls, and we got blown out against the Bulls. Then we get not really blown out. It was on the verge of a blowout, and they came back. They made a run at the end. They lost by 6. But, man, I don't know what to do with this team, man. I watched parts of this game today, and it was just ugly. I didn't watch the Bulls game. It was just by the time I turned it on, it was like it was already.
They got that big win over the Magic. Things were, looking like maybe they turned it around. Like you said, a terrible loss to the Bulls and now a loss to the Heat today. Only a couple games left, man. We're, time's pretty much up. The clock looks like it's striking midnight on this team, and it's looking like it's going to be a play-in tournament seed, maybe a 6th seed.
Do you feel good about this team at all? Even if they didn't get the play-in game, did you feel good about this team?
I can't feel too confident with these last couple of performances, though.
This is embarrassing.
It's not a great look.
I wouldn't feel good even if, right now, let's say we won our last few games. I think how many games? We got 4 games left?
4 or 5. I think it's 4 now.
I think it's 4. So we can make it to – we could still catch, technically, the 4 seed. Very unlikely, but we could get into the 5 seed. I just don't – I still wouldn't feel good if we had the 5 seed. Even if we skipped the playing game, I feel like I wouldn't feel that confident in this team. I really don't.
I mean, they haven't really given us any reason to feel confident in them.
Defensively, this team is just awful. But offensively, we're scoring a lot of points. You score 124 points, you should win the ball game. You just got to figure it out on the defensive end. I pointed out today, Evan Fournier had 30 points. Finished the game with 30 points and 7 assists. That's pretty impressive for him because I know he's been struggling. That's if you want to look for a positive, we do like positivity on this show. Some positivity there is that he had 30 points and 7 assists. So, Aaron Naismith's also we talked about. He got 16 in 19 minutes. Marcus Smart was 16. Tatum with 29. Kemba needs to figure it out, man. He looked pretty atrocious in today's game. Like the pieces are there. It's just we got to figure out how to get some stops on this team and not get down by 25 points.
It's great to have these stat lines, but when you're giving up 130 points and over 70 points and a half, you're not going to win a ball game like that.
It's embarrassing. Like we got to have some pride, especially with the Celtics team, and especially Brad Stevens. That was one thing he prided himself on with his teams is defensive-minded teams. Like in recent years, even the Kyrie year, like a couple of years that we had Kyrie, we prided ourselves on defense. Isaiah Thomas, still with Isaiah Thomas being small, like that was our one gripe. He's like, our team is just a defensive monster, but Isaiah Thomas was a little bit of a liability there. But even then, we're like, man, we play good defense. We're a defensive team. We're a gritty team. There's no grit in this team.
Zero grit, dude. It's injury issues. It's definitely defensive effort issues. I'd venture to say it's also some coaching decisions and lineup decisions, but all around,
it's everyone
up and down the entire, team and coaching staff. This has just become a problem.
Roster issues. Roster, like Danny, I've said it. Like everyone wants to jump on Brad, and maybe I'm not saying Brad doesn't deserve some of the blame here, but didn't Danny come out himself earlier this year and said this roster isn't made to win a championship?
He did, and then he brought in
Evan Fournier.
He brought in Evan Fournier and Jabari Parker, and apparently that's
and
just
Luke
enough
Cornett.
That's enough to turn the team around.
Luke Cornett, Evan Fournier, and who was the other guy you said?
Jabari
Parker, who didn't even play today. That's the missing ingredient for this Boston Celtics team.
Not Cornett, Miles Turner or anyone like that. It was those guys.
Yeah, you didn't even get – he's been stinking on the Nuggets. You didn't even go out and get Aaron Gordon. You didn't get Vujicic. Like, you didn't get anyone. You got Evan Fournier, who I said is a great player and he will help with the championship run. Like, I think he's a nice player to have, and he fitted what we needed. But did he really make the moves necessary since he made that comment to make this a championship caliber roster?
Not at all.
So why are we not blaming Danny? Like Danny
I'm blaming Danny not even for that comment, for him not doing anything in the offseason, because it was very apparent he wanted to just ride with what he had in the offseason, and it came back to bite him in the ass. Everyone got better, and we stayed the same.
He fumbled the bag with the Gordon Hayward move. Everyone loved that he got this giant trade exception, but Danny didn't take advantage of it. He could have Miles Turner and a role player, which would have been huge. How much of a difference would that have made this year? I think it would have been. You had a starting big, even though Rob Williams stepped up a little.
Yeah, but he hasn't. His health has deteriorated the last couple of weeks too, which is always been the knock on him. It's not his ability; it's his health. And when he's healthy, we're on. When he's hurt, we're off.
I think the Celtics could have easily. I think Danny could have easily made some moves and got even if at the deadline he went out and got Evan Fournier and Jameer Grant. That would have been a significant step up, and then you make a move for a big or something, or maybe you want to roll with Rob as your starting center. You keep that move, and you're like, all right, we're letting Rob get more minutes. We're getting Fournier and we're getting Grant as some scoring options, and then you try to get a defensive guy. Like they should have went after who's the guy that was on the Rockets? What's his name? Who was playing the center, but he was small.
Clint Capella?
No, he went in for Clint Capella. He's really a small forward, power forward.
Is he still there?
No, I think he's on the Bucks now. The Bucks went and got him.
All right, let's find out.
I forget his name.
Keep going.
I'll know it when I heard it. But even him as a defensive-minded player, go and get Rondo, who would be a little bit more of a veteran kind of defensive player. Patrick Beverley would have been a great person to try to go out and get as a defensive guard. There's plenty of guys out there that we could have made moves for, and we did nothing. Grant was 2 second-round picks. That was what was
PJ Tucker?
PJ Tucker.
Okay.
I would have loved PJ Tucker, a defensive beast. He could have been a big difference maker. I would have started him or put Kamo off the bench. Like, I think he would have helped defensively. I just feel like Danny sat on his thumbs and did nothing this entire year.
I mean, that's what he always does this. He acquires assets. He refuses to relinquish those assets because he doesn't want to lose a trade, and then we get stuck holding our dicks in our hands. So here we are.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like I'm very disappointed with this season.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely disappointing considering, we had a good season last season, Eastern Conference Finals. Disappointing that we lost it, but we still made it there. Tatum is entering his prime. Brown is arguably starting his prime. You had the pieces to do it, and now the team is starting to regress. The Red Sox are better now. The Patriots are getting better. The Bruins are going to be in the playoffs, and all of a sudden you're falling behind in the Boston sports scene.
Right. It's like, and at one time, like 2 years ago,
I'd argue the Eastern Conference Finals run with Terry Rozier. That was probably the most popular the Celtics have been in a while, maybe since the championship years.
Yeah, I think like the Isaiah Thomas year, that was like the most likable of the Celtics teams. Like, that first year with Kyrie, I think they were pretty likable. But still, it was like the last few years, it's like no one likes watching this team.
There's nothing to like watching. I don't know who possibly has been watching this season and actually enjoys watching these games.
But I think about like when you look at a team like the Bruins, they were kind of they came out hot. I can't remember if they came out slow. And then they got hot, but they were hot for a while in the beginning of the season, and then they kind of cooled off. And what does Cassidy do? Not Cassidy, but what do the Bruins do? They go out and get Taylor Hall. Like, they bring in someone to help, and it just completely like.
Yeah, they realize that they need help, and they get the help, and now it's very apparent that it's working.
Right, and now all of a sudden they're talking like now we're back on the we're on our way to the cup. Like, it's like people are very confident this team is hot. I think they lost.
They lost yesterday, but I mean, it's not like they're on a. Yeah. It's not like they completely fell apart.
Right.
Whereas the Celtics win one game and then they lose the next two, and then it's always one step forward, two steps back.
And they don't just lose; they lose by 30 points. They lose by 20. It's like it's the most frustrating team. So, I mean, what is your prediction? Like, what do you think they're going to do? This team's going to do.
I think it's going to be a play-in tournament seed. I think they're good enough and talented enough to get out of the play-in tournament, but I wouldn't be shocked if they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they probably drop out semifinals.
So let's look at this real quick. It's 7 plays 8, right?
I can only assume.
Yeah, I think it's the 7 plays the 8.
7 plays 8 for the 7 seed.
And then 9 plays 10 to move on, and then the loser of 7 and 8 plays the winner of 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
So right now the Celtics would have a home game for the play-in game, and they play against the Hornets. Poetic justice for Gordon Hayward coming back.
We can beat the Hornets, but again, it just depends on which Celtics team shows up.
And then if they lose that game, they got to play either the Wizards, who are hot right now.
That's a dangerous team right now.
And
it's a dangerous
Pacers.
team.
It's like
Pacers. I'm not as worried.
I think the
about.
Wizards win that game.
Oh, 1,000%, easily.
The Wizards are a sneaky team to make that 8 seed, man. I think that, and they can make a little run depending on who they're playing. Like Westbrook and Beal are kind of learning how to finally play it. Like Westbrook.
Beal dropped a 50 piece while Westbrook had a triple double. So I mean, they can clearly play together.
He not only dropped a 50 piece. I think he had. Did he drop 30? Like it was like a.
Who, Russ?
Russ.
Yeah, he had. I think it was 34 in a triple double.
Yeah, and the other night, last game against the Bucks, who they beat. They lost the Bucks by 1. But Russ had a triple-double, 29, 17, and 12 when Bradley Beal dropped 42.
There you go.
So it's like this team can compete, man. Like this team can beat anyone. And they got some veteran leadership on that team that could win in the series. But I don't know. I don't really have that confidence in there. I think you're right. I think I think we can beat the Hornets depending on what team shows up, but then you have to play the Nets round one. So it's like, or the Bucks. It's going to be the Nets or Bucks depending on how the final couple games
And
play out.
if it's this version of the Celtics team, they're not winning that series.
No. I think I have more faith in being the Bucks than the Nets. That's just me.
Probably, yeah.
Because I feel like the Bucks always like, and this could be their year, but I feel like the Bucks always like gas out.
Yeah, they do.
It's the
But I mean,
playoffs.
if we're gassing out against the freaking Bulls, there's
Right. No. I'm just saying if the Celtics play to their potential, I think
if for some reason a switch flips and all of a sudden they're playing Celtics basketball, they can definitely do it. But it's up to them to make that change.
Right. And if they lose the first game and win the second game, they're playing the 76ers, which I actually, surprising enough, feel the best out of those three teams. I don't know what it is, but I feel better about playing the 76ers than I do the Nets or the Bucks.
I'm sad. I'm sad that it's reached this point.
So here's a question for you. Dear Danny, this offseason, who are you cutting? I mean, we'll do this more when the season actually is over, but
Jeez.
if you had to pick maybe three people to either trade or cut. Three people to trade. Who are you trying to get rid of? And who's someone that a couple of people that you absolutely want to keep?
I mean, you can't move Tatum and you can't move Brown.
Right. Let's take them out of the equation.
You need those guys. I'd shop Kemba. I don't think the Kemba experiment is working. I think it's pretty evident what we have in Kemba now. Maybe try and move Smart for something a more sure thing, like another complementary piece for Tatum and Brown. I don't know what his worth would be on the market, but maybe see what you can get for Smart, because it's not working anymore. It's not working anymore. We've tried this how many seasons, and it's not working, and now we're starting to go backwards. So
right,
I think it's time for a change. Some sort of change needs to happen now. We can't keep rolling up the same team and expecting different results.
Yeah. My only thing where I kind of get nervous with getting rid of Smart is what the major problem with this team is defense, and he's the only one that.
Well, I mean,
he is. He's the only one that.
He is, but we're still giving up 130. So.
Right. I don't think it's more. Do you think getting rid of him, like you give up less points?
Depends on what you get back.
Yeah, I think there's other pieces on this team you can.
Or you can just get the rest of your team to actually play defense.
That's true.
Instead of relying on one guy to be instead of asking one guy to stop points from 5 opposing players.
I think a definite move that has to be made is the Kemba move. We've given it 2 years. It's not working out. I love Kemba Walker as a person and a player, but it's just not working out. Like, we need to go out and get someone that's a little bit stronger, a little bigger, healthy, doesn't
Bradley
get hurt.
Beal's going to be on the market, so we can see if Danny can get that working.
A little sign and trade action with Bradley Beal. I would be happy with that. And then,
although they're winning now, so who knows? All of a sudden
I don't think so.
All of a sudden that team starts winning, and I mean, he put up with a lot with John Wall, and he still stayed. So.
Yeah, I think it's a little different. I think he'll still want out. I think he's going to want to win, depending on how if all the stars align and they end up making it through the play-in tournament and they end up going far in the playoffs, yeah, that's a very big possibility. Like him and Westbrook start liking to play together. Sure, maybe, but I just don't see that happening. I think the relationship that's already built with Tatum, I think it would be a little easier to bring him into Boston. Another guy I think I would put a priority of signing is Fournier. I mean, we traded for him. That was the goal. I think he can be a valuable piece in this next stage of the Celtics franchise. I think that's a guy that you need to kind of lock up. I'm good with getting rid of Grant Williams. I'm see what you can get for him. I'm good with getting rid of Semi, Romeo, all the young guys. I'm good with getting rid of Carson. Naismith, I'd be open to moving, but he's actually starting to come in and be a good piece for us. But at the right price, I would say he's, tradable. And I dare say I'm ready to move on. I think I'm not 100% ready. I got to see how the rest of the season plays out. I think I'm ready to move on from Rob. I really am. We're we're putting all our eggs in his basket, and when he's there, he's unbelievable. But like you said, it hasn't been the knock on him. It hasn't been his ability. It's been his ability to stay healthy. And even now, like when he's in the game, we win. Like we win a lot more than we lose, but he can't stay healthy. He can't stay on the floor. It's like I'd rather go trade for a guy that maybe has maybe a notch below, but is gonna play every single game and not get hurt.
Yeah, it's going to be a big crossroads offseason for Rob. See what happens with him contract-wise, because I know he has options, and he really controls his own fate. Does he want to bet on himself to stay healthy, or does he want to take guaranteed money from the Celtics, who see if they want to pay him and see if he stays healthy, or if they say you're too injury-prone, you're not even worth it? I have no idea.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a big offseason for Danny, not even for his own job, but the franchise moving forward.
This is I like what you said. This is gonna be a big offseason for the franchise itself, but I think this next offseason into the season is a big one for Danny and for Brad. Like this is a big one. This next year, it's like we took two big steps backwards from where we were last year. Danny's got to step it up and grab some good players and bring them in, and Brad's got to do a better job at coaching them up. Like I think it's like. I don't put it all on Brad because if you give like give him a bunch of quarters and he needs a dime, like it's not going to work. Like you need the tools to be able to do it. That's probably a bad example. If you need a hammer and he gives you a saw, that's probably a better analogy. It's probably a better one, I think. You give him a hammer. If he needs a hammer and you give him a saw, it's not really going to do anything. He needs the right tools.
Right.
Be able to coach his team up, and it's like we expect him to do it because he's done it in the past. He's had his teams overachieve. Like when that first year, the second year he was coaching, they made the playoffs. Like no business making the playoffs in the second year. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals with IT.
Yep,
they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals with IT. Like that should not have happened. So we kind of expect him to make it there and like kind of be better with what he's got. But I mean, at some point you got to help the guy out too. I mean, we're depending on Luke Cornett to be our spark off the bench, which he's been pretty good, but it's like, you got to be better than that, Danny. Like he's got to put together a better team. But we'll have to see. We got a few games left. Big Red is making his return to the Garden on Tuesday.
You're a brave man. You're a brave man.
I almost sold my tickets. I honestly, I'm ready to do. If it wasn't the last game of the regular season, I would have said I'll see you later because I really have. There's no. That's not true. I want to be in the Garden, but it's brutal to watch this team play. It really is. I watched it today. I watched the first half today. It was like I wanted to rip my eyes out. It's terrible. So hopefully the boys get a W. And start the ball rolling going into the tournament, the playoffs. So it's coming down to the wire, Danny Football, in our season. So let's get to picks of the week.
Picks of the week.
Picks of the week. We always choose one NBA game on Tuesday night. It's coming down to the wire. It's almost over. I'm a game back. Both got a couple W's last week. So, Danny Football, who is your pick of the week?
I'm going to go with Nuggets over Hornets. Try to get a little help from Denver. Beat up on the Hornets a little bit. I think even without Murray, this team is still pretty good. I think the Nuggets can still make a run. I don't know if they'll be able to make it as far as they did last season, but this is still a good team, and I think they're going to take down the Hornets.
Now, I think I'm going to call an audible here, Danny Football. I had a team written down, but I think I'm going to call an audible. I'm going to buy into a team that's hot right now. Both of these teams are hot. I was going to go Celtics over Heat to watch the boys when I was there, but I'm just so fed up with this team, so I'm not going to pick them. I'm going to go Suns over Warriors. I'm riding the Suns bandwagon all the way to the end of the season. Warriors are starting to get hot. They're trying to, secure a spot in the playoffs. They're in the play-in seed now. Did you see that they would play the Lakers in the playing game? That would be something for a playing game. They're kind of locked up. They're trying to hold on to a playoff spot, I think. I think they're a little too far out to get out of the play-in series, but try to lock up home court advantage for the playing game. And but I think the Suns are going to roll over the Warriors. You talked me into it.
I've been saying it since the offseason. The Suns team's gonna be dangerous.
They're gonna be dangerous going to the playoffs. Did they take the 1 seed yet? It's still Jazz. Still Jazz. They're 1.5 game out of the first. But did you? I didn't want. I wanted you were rolling with the Nuggets selection, so I didn't want to take away from it. Did you hear? Enemy of the podcast. Usually we say friend, but enemy of the podcast, Nick Wright, what he said about Joker.
What did he say about the Joker?
He said that there's no way he should be the MVP. My buddy said it. He said it because he thinks Chris Paul should be the MVP, which I kind of see the argument. You put him on the team, we turn them into like a actual contender, I think. I also think everything started to click at the end of the bubble last year, but he was definitely the missing ingredient on that team. So I can kind of see his point with that. But, I mean, like you just mentioned, Jamal Murray's out, and they haven't skipped a beat because of Joker. He also said that it would make more sense for someone else to win because no one wants to see the Nuggets or, see someone from the Nuggets win the MVP because it's bad for ratings.
He'd probably just give it to LeBron. He loves LeBron, so
yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if LeBron, despite missing 2 months of the season, still wins the MVP. Still wins the Nick Wright MVP award.
And remember, I think they should maybe give it to LeBron because he'll never be the same way again.
Right. He's still recovering.
Coming back from a ankle sprain.
I can only hope.
Tough.
I can only hope one day he's able to play with his kids the same way. I hope those kids know what it is to have a father.
Oh my goodness! It's so upsetting to have a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprain's no joke, but come on, man. You can come back. You spent $1 million on taking care of your body. I think we can figure out how to come back from an ankle sprain.
Life altering.
Yeah, Gordon Hayward's snapped ankle in half. What a joke. What's his name? Who was the kid from Louisville who snapped his leg in half?
Kevin Ware.
Kevin Ware's a leg snaps in half. Half of it's out of his leg. Has got nothing on LeBron's high ankle sprain.
Never be the same. He's a shell of himself now.
I'm glad I got to see the LeBron before the high ankle sprain. There has to be something else in that. He can't be saying that it's just a high ankle sprain.
I don't know, dude. I can't humor him anymore. He's on his own little island at this point for me.
He's one of the greatest to ever do it, man. He's like, you could argue the best, you could argue second best, but man, it is hard.
I can't.
I love everything he does for off the court. Like he helps the community out. He does a lot, man. It's like I think he's a good dude, but man, this stuff just drives me crazy. It really does. It's like unbelievable. But let's move on to something a little more positive here. The Red Sox.
Fresh off a W, dude. Just put it away.
They just sealed the W just now.
Just slammed the door in Baltimore, 22-13.
Man, this team is unbelievable. There's a couple question marks that are with the team, but I think they're starting to kind of. I think, as I said, management's starting to make a move. First of all, I want to just say, can we officially say in Heim we trust?
I think so, dude. I mean, he worked Brandon Workman for nothing now.
Isn't that crazy? He got Pavetta, for Heath Hembry.
He got Pavetta and who was the other one? He got Pavetta and another player for literally nothing at this point because we just re-signed Workman. There you go.
Who did they get? Heath Hembry.
We traded Workman for Pavetta.
Yeah, Heath Hembry was in that deal. It was for the Workman deal. It was Heath Hembry and Workman for Pavetta and something else. I thought, right?
Thanks for the cheese, guys. Damn.
What was it? What was the Workman trade? You want to look that up?
Oh, I can watch it.
But But they just got so they basically, I think that was a smart move. They got Workman back, and he can maybe figure it out. He had a rough end of the season last year. Maybe he can kind of yeah, it was get distracted. Workman and Heath Hembry, and some cash for Pavetta and Connor Seabald. So they got Nick Pavetta and Connor Seabald for Heath Hembry and some cash. That is unbelievable.
Not a bad trade.
That is unbelievable. So that's how remember a couple years ago, I think I tweeted this out, when the Red Sox traded John Lester to the Athletics.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the deal should have went down. We traded John Lester for, I think it was Cespedes.
It was, yeah.
And then we signed John Lester at the end of the year, at the offseason, to bring him back. That's what should have happened, and got Cespedes. But instead, we missed out on Lester, and we missed out on Cespedes re-signing. But unbelievable move by Heim. I liked the Workman sign. Maybe he can kind of figure some stuff out in Worcester, and maybe be another bullpen arm, because there's a couple of guys struggling right now in the pen for us. But I mean, Sox are playing great. Franchi is kind of,
Franchi
struggling.
sucks, dude. Jesus Christ.
He's struggling a little bit.
But
He's
that's
not
why
in
we
the
have
right space.
That's why we have Duran down in Worcester, man. He's hitting bombs down there.
That's the guy. I mean, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but that was my guy to watch. Like, I really think that Duran's going to probably be up by the end of the year, barring a move that someone else makes, like the Red Sox make a trade for another outfielder. But man, Franchi's kind of struggling. Taylor's kind of struggling.
Bobby's been having a rough stretch.
Bobby's having a tough stretch.
He hits a couple home runs here and there, but
yeah, I think he's kind of slowly made. Andrews, was it Andrews that's kind of been stinking?
not too bad. He seemed to be cleaning up, but
for some reason they don't like using Philip Valdez. They don't really use him that much, but yeah, man, like Franchi's having a tough go, but Hunter Renfroe has been playing unbelievable. I think as it slows down, I think, Renfroe and Verdugo and what's his name? They don't have him on here, but those guys are going to kind of hold down the outfield, maybe throw Marwin out there. Chavis maybe get some time in left. I know they were trying to work him out in the outfield, but man, Franchi's kind of having a tough go of it, but it will all come out in the wash, man. I think he's gonna figure it out. He was doing pretty well at the beginning of the season. I think he's just in a real slump right now. But
that's all right. I mean, we're surviving despite it. First team to 20 wins, like we said, 22-13, 5-2 in the last week. Series win over Detroit, and now a series win over Baltimore. Richards has the second straight solid outing, man. Bats are staying hot. I mean,
I'll admit it when I'm wrong. Garrett Richards, I apologize.
Garrett Richards saw the tweets, man. This is second straight outing, man. Seven strong innings.
I apologize. I'm right with you. Garrett Richards, I'm with you, buddy.
3.5 up in first place.
I'm all in on Garrett Richards right now. Not all in. I got like a foot in. Yeah, I mean they're playing great, and there's also like guys down in the minors that I think would be, you got Tanner Houck that's bouncing around that comes up every so often for a spot start. I know they don't want to use him in this they want to use him in the bullpen, but I mean, man, like I would rather him in the bullpen than Josh Taylor. Garrett Whitlock's been nasty. And like we mentioned, with Duran's down there too. So, and plus we mention all the time Chris Sale. So this team is just going to keep getting better as the season goes on without even adding anyone from outside teams like trades and stuff. So, I have a lot of confidence in this team, and people are just waiting for the wheels to come off.
They
but
won't, dude. They won't.
I don't think it is.
They find ways to win, man. They find ways to win. I mean, just a bad loss to the Tigers. Everyone says maybe the sky is falling. Not the case at all. 9 games over 500, man. 9 games over 500. 3.5 game lead in the AL East. This team's for real, and if people want to keep sleeping on us, they can. But this team's going to keep winning. We're going to get Chris Sale back at some point. We have guys down in the minors that can produce. This team's built to last.
I can't wait. It's just going to continue to get stronger, and I know probably Heim will add a couple pieces towards the end of the season, towards the deadline. So, but I have faith in the pieces that we have. Really, I feel like a couple fine tuning moves at the deadline's probably a good call, but. Man, I feel really good about this team.
Night and day from last year, man.
First team to hit 20 losses last year to first team to hit 20 wins this year. I think that's a great turnaround. And as I said, a lot of that credit has to go to Heim, and a lot of the credit has to go to the man at the helm, Alex Cora. I think a lot of that has to do with him. He brought the new energy. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for this season to see how it unfolds.
Got a good 3-game series against the A's this week. Test to see where we're at, and then we finish up with the Angels. We get to beat up on them as long as we don't run into Shohei Ohtani.
But they're really performing against even the studs. When we played the Mets, I feel like I think this roster is just battle. They're top. I think they can play with anyone. I'm not really scared of anyone on the schedule. They'll drop a couple.
I was scared of Means, but we were able to duck Means for this Orioles series.
Hey, did you see Wade Miley threw it no?
I did. I couldn't believe it. My buddy told me that, and I said, "Are we talking about the same guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, we are." I'm like, "Oh my god."
If you could bet me any type of money, I would have taken it for Wade Miley not to throw a no. There was no chance.
I would have bet I would throw a no before he did.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. And then the thing I even couldn't believe even more was the news you spoke of the Angels when they just cut Hall of Famer Albert Pujols. I couldn't believe that either.
That was kind of a trash move on their part.
That's a Bush move, man. You can't just ride it out with him. He's going in. He's in the last year of his contract. I'm not saying re-sign him to any deal, but come on. Miggy is probably doing worse than him, but they're just riding it out. It's these guys are struggling. I think it shows why these 10, 15-year contracts are stupid.
They never work, man. They never work.
But it's you can't cut him in his final. It's not like he had 3 or 4 more years on his deal.
No.
he was at a couple more months.
This was it.
I think that was a Bush move, man. That's tough. I hope he gets the to finish his career the right way and finish it on a team, maybe a contender team. I don't know, but I'd like to see him go to a contending team or go back to the Cardinals.
I was going to say I wouldn't be shocked if he gets maybe a 1-day contract with the Cardinals and retire.
At least a 1 day, but I think he wants to finish the season, do his final.
We'll see. Then we'll see who wants to pick him up at that point. I don't know.
Do you think there's room on the card? I don't know much about the Cardinals roster, but do you think there's any room for him?
No DH, so I don't even really know what he would do.
Yeah, he rolls out every couple days at first, or left field. I feel like there's something. You can get him on the cheap and try to figure out something for him. He won't sign a minor league deal, but if they have a spot open for him, they should definitely if nothing's happening, they should get him for the last couple months. It's only a couple months. I don't get why they didn't just ride it out. That's kind of a slap in the face to him. But I hope he gets to go out the way he deserves. But man, I was shocked. That was kind of shocking that he got cut. He was hitting pretty awful this year, but still. Moving on to our friends to the West. The WooSox started their franchise first ever game as the Worcester Red Sox. They got a loss, but still, this team is strong. they can make a real deep run. I mean, they gave Ice Horse just got called up, but still. What are your thoughts on the WooSox start of the season, Danny?
My WooSox dude, I couldn't be happier that they're finally starting. Especially with seeing how bad COVID was for a second there. I was really worried they weren't going to be able to get their season in. New ballpark, was really worried that was going to have to open up empty. It's not going to be the case. But like you said, first game ever, May 4th. They did lose. They're currently 2-3, about to be 2-5. They're losing again right now. Top 9. Home openers on Tuesday, though, and that's really where, the season starts on your home opener. You open the road on a 6-game road trip. That's stacking the deck. Come home Tuesday, friendly confines of Polar Park, Canal District of Worcester. Let's get get something going. It sucks Tanner Houck is hurt right now. He's going to miss his start, but, this, like you said, this team they have some good pieces. They have some good young guys, and I'm going to be there, dude. I'm going to be there next Sunday and the Saturday after that. 2 straight Worcester games for me, man. We're going to see what Polar Park's all about, and I'll see what's going on down there with the WooSox.
What you're going Sunday?
Next Sunday and then the Saturday after that.
So you're going to get to see a little Syracuse and Buffalo action? That's
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Start scouting these AAA guys.
I'm getting a little sad because the last time they played was Pawtucket, and I was working for them in the clubhouse. I'm kind of getting a little sadness.
They're mine now, dude. They're mine.
They're yours, man. I dropped the keys off the other day. I like how they're doing like week-long series with the same team too. I mean, that's kind of an interesting way. That's like a mega series they're playing. Like they're playing 2-3 game series with them. So that would be interesting.
I can only assume it's just to really limit travel.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it makes sense too. And it looks like every Monday they have off.
Which sucks for me because I have Mondays off, and I was like, Monday.
Really?
I was like, Monday games are gonna be so cool. Like I don't have to worry about work. And then they're like, we don't play a single Monday game. I'm like, all right.
But you can go on Sunday, little Sunday action.
Right, Saturday and Sundays are going to be my game days.
Let me know how it is with the travel and stuff, like parking and stuff like that.
I already have the parking chart ready. I'm ready to go, man. I got the parking chart. I already have my tickets on my phone. I'm ready to fly.
I have no doubts. What are some prospects you're looking out at? I mentioned Duran, but is there anyone else you're kind of looking at this team?
Duran's a good one. Chavis, but I mean, it looks like Chavis is going to be back and forth. Same with Houck. Houck's going to be back and forth. Jeter Downs seems to be having a good start so far. But Duran, dude, Duran's looking like the crown jewel right now. I mean, he's had a good, half-decent start to the season. I think I'm going to like this kind of like this group of guys seems pretty good. I mean, pitching, I'll have to see what we have for pitchers. I know we're not historically great with pitchers the last couple of years, but the bats, dude, these bats are going to look like they're going to be a big problem, especially with Duran. I think Duran's going to be something good.
Yeah, I mean, a couple favorites for me. I think Duran's going to be the main prospect that I would keep an eye on.
Duran, Jeter Downs.
Munoz.
I've heard good things about Munoz.
Connor Wong. But a couple of guys that I like from my time there, Kyle Hart is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Hart works fast. He's a good strong lefty.
I believe he got a W yesterday.
Yeah, I loved him because whenever he pitched, it would be like an hour and a half game. Just like he works fast. I like that. I like Bobby. Bobby's Pointer. He's a good guy, and he's another lefty. Good end of the inning, end of the game kind of guy. Chad De La Guerra, he's a good infielder, and a great guy. You want to talk about a great guy, Josh Ockamy, like just an awesome all around person and power guy too. At first, so it'll be interesting to see. I hope those guys have a great start to the year, and who knows, we could see. The prospect down in AA by the end of the year come up to AAA. Who's the big first baseman?
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
But yeah, we could see a couple guys. I think there's a couple top guys in AA too that can make their way to Worcester. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see how they do. I mean, they had a tough start to this year so far, but what are you going to do? They're going to go to
I
home
mean,
and
location change. The first month of the season, you're an alternate site still. You're not playing, travel games. And then, like I said, 6-game road trip. You have to travel. You're not at home. And like you said, it's a big mega series now. So you're seeing the same team multiple times. So it'll be interesting to see how this season goes. But I mean, we have them on the hook for 10 years. So we have plenty of time to figure out how Worcester is going to work for these guys.
yeah. And also another interesting thing to see this year is we're playing the mega series, but they're also playing the same teams like all year. Like they're not really. If you look at the schedule, they're playing Syracuse, Buffalo, Lehigh, and maybe one other team. I'm trying to think of the other team, but it's mainly those teams they're just going back and forth with. And I'm assuming that's for travel and contract tracing as well. But so you're going to get to see these teams.
I
Danny's going.
can't wait to hate all these teams.
Yeah, Buffalo, Syracuse, Lehigh, Rochester. I think Rochester was the other team, and Scranton. Those teams are going to play for the most part all year round, all season long. So make sure you get a little rowdy for the Scranton.
I'm going to hand all these teams their ass.
Scranton's the Yankees affiliate, so make sure you get after it with them.
I'm going to be getting after them, man. They're going to be hearing me from Section 15. They'll be hearing me.
But yeah, that should be good. I hope they do well. I mean, they had a really bad year a couple years ago, but hopefully they can.
That's all right, dude.
Have a great first year. It's a new team, new team,
new team, new city, new ballpark, and I'll be reporting back every week to see what's going on with these guys.
They can't be any more disappointing than the Celtics. I'll tell you that right now.
They're challenging for that 4 spot.
So we're gonna move on to our final segment of the night. The people's topic.
It's the people's topic, baby! People's topic.
So for people's topic, you can write in every week at our Instagram and Twitter at Big Red Zone. You give us a topic, question, whatever you want us to talk about, and we'll go back and forth on it. Today, we got one. Let's look at what we got. We got a good one from our friend. We missed him last week, but we got him this week. A Mother's Day question like no other from the one and only Joseph _Celia. He says, in no order, give me your top 5 NBA players in 5 years. So in the next 5 years, in 5 years from now, who is going to be the top 5 NBA players?
I think Giannis will still be there. Giannis will still be a huge force.
Yeah.
Giannis, I'll go D. Mitch. Booker is going to be huge still. Luka, and I'll round it out with Anthony Edwards.
I like that one, Anthony Edwards.
Giannis, Luka, D. Mitch, Book, and Edwards. Yeah, I like that 5.
I'm going to go with Giannis. I think you're right with Giannis. I think he's still young enough where he'll be, at the top of the game, top of the league in 5 years. Luka, same thing. I think he's too good, man. He's going to be great in 5 years. Another guy that I think is going to be on top is Zion.
Zion's just another good one. I mean, his health is the only thing that hurts him.
That's what I was going to say. As long as he can be healthy, he just fractured his finger, which I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not as bad.
Right. It's not as bad injury, but
it's not as bad as a high ankle sprain. So I think he'll be able to come back from it. And then it gets tough from there. I think Tatum. I want to say Tatum just because rooting for him at 4. And then at 5 years from now. I like the Anthony Edwards pick. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think as much as I'm not a big fan of theirs, I think LaMelo Ball is going to be at the top,
LaMelo Ball
too.
is not a bad one. Yeah, that's not a bad one.
He's really, he's been playing unbelievable.
I was going to say, he took to the game really quick.
and he's like he hasn't missed a beat as an NBA coming from the NBA. Like Anthony Edwards took a little bit to adjust. Like he was good, but he took a little bit to adjust. LaMelo Ball's first game, he was like an NBA player. Like he had the confidence, he had the play. Like if he didn't get hurt, he would have been the rookie of the year. Like I just
1000%.
I think he could be at the top. I think Joker's another one, and depending on if he gets beat down in the next 5 years, like maybe he won't be at the top, but Joker definitely could be at the top of the game. Like that's who I was battling with between Joker and LaMelo Ball. Like I feel like I think there's more chance that Joker kind of gets as a big, kind of breaks down a little bit with taking a beating every day and kind of carrying the load. But there's a lot of guys. I like the Donovan Mitchell pick. I think that's good. You want to hear his?
I try to stick with more like smaller guys.
Yeah.
I usually don't get hurt. Like Giannis for what it's worth, he never really gets hurt. I kind of gotta give him some credit.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
But you want to hear Joseph Celia's pick? He gave me his 5.
I love
Shout out from Joe Celia. He went Tatum, Zion, Giannis, Luka, and Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid. I mean, same thing with Zion. I just don't know his health.
He did give a couple honorable mentions, he said.
Okay.
One, Trae Young.
Okay.
Ben Simmons. Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi, if he's still at the top of his game.
I don't know about Kawhi.
I think Kawhi's kind of getting up there. I don't think he'll be up there. And Joker, which I kind of said.
So he had pretty much everyone we had.
Yeah. Trae Young's a good one, too. Like, Trae Young could be there, too.
Yeah, Trae Young, definitely. Atlanta just needs to make their team a little bit better around him.
Bradley Beal? Think Bradley Beal would be there?
He's
kind of getting...
He's older than we think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's
Same
a
with
good
Russ.
list.
Like, Russ isn't going to be playing at this height in 5 years.
Yeah, I think so, too. Like I said, he's a very physical guy. Like, his body takes a beating. So he's not gonna be the top 5 players in the league. You know what I mean? He could be. Very well could be. But I don't think it's likely. I think that, and again, like Joel Embiid, the only thing that makes me nervous is his health. Like, he gets hurt every year. So, but who knows? So you can write in, as I said, each week on our Instagram and Twitter at Big Red Zone. Make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review on Apple Podcast and tell a friend. That's all for this week of Big Red Zone. I want to thank Dandy Football for joining, as always. Have a great week, everyone. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, guys.